Good evening. Welcome to Northbeat. I'm Megan Roberts. The Nunatuavut Community Council is claiming victory from a court challenge over its Indigenous identity. But so too are the groups that brought forward the case, which was dismissed on Wednesday. The CBC's Samuel Watt explains.
Nunatuavut claims victory.
Absolutely an unequivocal win.
Innu Nation too.
Innu Nation is very pleased with the decision.
And the Nunatuavut government.
I actually think that the court's decision supports our position.
All over the same court challenge by the Innu Nation that's been dismissed. The case centres around the Memorandum of Understanding the federal government signed with Nunatuavut in 2019. The MOU describes Nunatuavut as an Indigenous collective capable of holding Indigenous rights under the Constitution. The Innu Nation argues that would infringe on its rights over its land. But Federal Court Judge Cecily Strickland says the MOU itself doesn't actually grant Indigenous rights to Nunatuavut. Lawyer for the Innu Nation says that's a cause for celebration.
The court has confirmed that NCC has never been recognized as having Section 35 rights and has never been recognized as having being an Aboriginal people, and the MOU is simply an agreement to talk.
But like he says, Nunatuavut's Indigenous recognition is still up for discussion. Todd Russell is Nunatuavut's president.
We should have the ability to sit down and negotiate unfettered by the allegations, the false allegations and misinformation of other Indigenous groups. And indeed, they said from the courts themselves.
Nunatuavut represents 6,000 self-identified Inuit in South and Central Labrador who once identified as Métis. The group isn't recognised by the national organisation Inuit Taparit Kanatami. With Nunatuavut's status as Inuit in dispute, the Nunatuavut government joined the Innu Nation's court challenge.
We don't want to see another group claiming to be falsely Indigenous to be given a priority in, negotiating a land claim.
They also argues the government failed in its duty to consult them on the MOU, but the judge says that wasn't necessary when the signing of the MOU right now doesn't affect their rights. But that could change as talks between Ottawa and Nunatuavut proceed. Samuel Watt, CBC News, Iqaluit.
An update now on the hit and run that happened in Whitehorse yesterday morning. RCMP confirmed today that one person has died. Maria Tobin has the latest.
RCMP say the cyclist that was involved in the crash has died. Police did not release any other information about this person. Police say that the vehicle that was involved in the hit and run has also been found. They didn't say when or where or if any arrests have been made, but police are asking for public's help in the case. They're asking anyone with dashcam footage showing a black Chrysler 300 that was taken near Rabbit's Foot Canyon between 8 and 9:30 Thursday morning to contact RCMP. And those who wish to stay anonymous can reach out to Crime Stoppers. Maria Tobin, CBC News, Whitehorse.
In the Yukon, you may want to be extra careful where you eat. The CBC has found that the majority of restaurants haven't passed health inspections. The CBC's Catherine Pilkington has been digging into this issue. She joins me now from Whitehorse with more. So, Catherine, how pervasive is this issue? What did you find?
Well, publicly available health records collected by the Yukon's Health and Social Services found that out of 417 establishments, a full 74% aren't in compliance with the requirements. We found issues like failing to use clean drinking water and not properly cleaning areas where food is prepared. So out of 417 restaurants, we found 308 infractions, 102 of those critical, 109 compliant. So if you catch that, that's almost a third of these infractions are critical.
Okay, in this context, what does critical versus non-critical mean?
That's a great question. And so Yukon legislation doesn't actually differentiate sort of conclusively between those two terms, but in other jurisdictions, health inspectors use those two words to describe things like Critical will pose a real health hazard. There's a real potential for getting sick, whereas non-critical is something that is less likely to lead to a health hazard, but is still, something to be concerned about. So a concrete example might be, not providing soap. If a restaurant doesn't provide soap for their employees at a hand washing station, that would be non-critical. A critical example might look like not properly cooking meat or finding evidence of pests on the premises.
And what did restaurant owners have to say about this, Katrin?
Yeah, well, I spoke to a couple of restaurants who did pass their inspections. We didn't want to single out anyone who didn't pass to try to figure out what's going on, if these rules are overly stringent or hard to follow. And, because if most restaurants are failing to meet these legislative requirements, clearly there is a pervasive systemic issue. And what we heard is that the standards are, pretty standard. Many were surprised to learn this is such a big issue here. But one thing that we did hear is that for a lot of folks, it was difficult to actually learn what they were going to be graded on when health inspectors came in. And, one reason why that might be is that unlike other provinces and territories, the Yukon doesn't actually require food handler certification. So often restaurant owners are a bit in the dark on what they're going to be asked to look at. And folks in the industry here say the department should offer more support to help restaurant owners and kitchen staff understand how to meet these requirements.
Okay, thanks for looking into this, Katrin.
Thanks, Megan.
A new study says a worst-case scenario could see polar bears disappear in the southern part of Hudson Bay as early as the 2030s. Alex Crawford co-authored the report. He's with the University of Manitoba's Environment and Geography Department. Crawford says the effect of warming temperatures on sea ice plays a role in the survival of polar bears.
The loss of that habitat that makes it so that polar bears and the seals no longer have the environment that they're used to living in. And without the seals being present, the polar bears don't have that food source anymore.
Crawford says in order for that worst case scenario to happen, we'd have to continue emitting greenhouse gases at an increasing rate. He says the rate plateaued during COVID, but it's been steadily rising for the past several decades. In the Yukon, the Environment Minister was pressed by MPs on salmon yesterday. The Yukon government has faced accusations it's letting itself off the hook for the salmon's decline and instead deferring to Ottawa. Members of Parliament's Fisheries Committee asked Yukon Environment Minister Niels Clark to respond to the criticism. Clark said it's easy to bash the territorial government.
I have no intention of continuing to just say that the federal government is the only responsible party, but they are the senior level of government, and they do have that responsibility. But I think it is easy. It is easy for the Yukon government to say, and we will defer, and we will not do anything.
Clark also says the government is looking into conservation hatcheries, but he didn't provide information on what those are. It's been 30 years since the first sturgeon was released into the waters of northern Manitoba, and that marked the creation of the Nelson River Sturgeon Board, a conservation effort. This week, the prehistoric fish were released in Norway House to celebrate. The CBC's Jenna Delavich was there.
What's his name? Timmy! Timmy. There goes Timmy. Wait, Timmy! Timmy, you can't come back! Give him a little push that way. Turn him around, turn him around. Yay! Ah, look at him go.
My name is Tom Scott. I represent the Nelson River Sturgeon Board. I represent the Cross-Lake Band of Indians and the Michikaback Nation of northern Manitoba. Yeah, my father, Ernie Scott, was the founder of the Nelson River Sturgeon Board. He passed away in 1996. If it wasn't for him and his work and one of the early visions of our leaders, then we wouldn't have something like this.
They're sharp if you grab them, especially if you have a lot of tension on your hand.
We need to be proactive, and we need to be forefront runners, because we are the original ecologists of the land. We are the ones that are trying to keep and protect our nature from all kinds of different things, all the different kinds of harm, especially the waterways of our communities.
Very exciting. I think I'm more exciting than some of the kids that are out there, but this is something that we do, and it's really improved over the years.
So these scoots here are actually bone plates that are fused into their skin. Plates on their body that are hoofs, and it keeps them from getting eaten by other fish.
I think with the interest that we're giving to the youth today, it'll be really, it'll survive and continue to be a very important board for when they grow up and take over.
If we don't do it, nobody will. They represent a species that's been here for millions of years, and they're still around, so we have to do our best to protect them for another million years.
Today is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and in Inuvik, elders were invited out to a picnic. Support staff were on hand to talk with people about what resources are available for elders and their families. The CBC's Des Loreen went to check it out.
Everyone smile. Maybe tell you with your mouth closed.
Dozens of people showed up to recognize the day. Various organizations in town gathered to bring elders together.
I mean, we should have this every day. You know, we should have the awareness out every day because we don't know what's happening in our community as a whole.
You know, elder abuse happens behind closed doors. You know, we need to bring awareness to this and support them where we can.
Sharing stories and accessing information about support services.
So when we have a gathering like this, you could have a sit and one-on-one talk with an elder to see what's going on, like how's their life, and because we don't have that opportunity much anymore.
Families are encouraged to report any case of suspected elder abuse to authorities. Des Loreen, CBC News, Inuvik.
You promised me that you won't look back. There's gonna come a time you'll feel the darkness. You don't let them win.
How does someone just disappear? How can I be in love with something that was never there?
We are not a dying people. We are here and we are speaking.
I had a vision that I one day would be free again.
It is my right, it is my privilege, and it is my heritage.
When we see Team Canada on the world stage, we're witnessing pure greatness. What we don't see is their struggle. We don't see Maggie McNeil navigating her anxiety, or Ellie Black hearing she's just too old to compete. What we don't see makes us who we are. We're all bravely facing the odds in our lives, and our bravery is our victory.
We carry a world of information in our pockets because we want to know. Breaking news that shapes your world.
All right.
Reporting from the scene onto your screens.
Dropping the 8 now. We are just approaching Gaza.
With local CBC Radio 1 Live to connect us closer to home. It's news you can trust, delivered when you want, where you want. On the CBC News app. Download for free.
Who's this then?
Inspector George Crabtree.
We'll just be needing one more thing.
Well, this is delightful.
So, you want to watch CBC News Explore, a new kind of news channel. Here's how to find us. We're on the CBC News app, on CBC Gem, and on your smart TV. Stream anytime. It's always free. CBC News Explore.
Iqaluit RCMP say they're stepping up patrols around the capital. This comes after a plea from City Council to address public intoxication. The RCMP say they've already started patrols. They'll have a zero-tolerance policy and will be seizing open liquor. Iqaluit City Council had also called for the community to get involved and start reporting public intoxication. And they asked the Nunavut government to step in with more social supports. Our CMP say residents can expect an increased police presence all summer. The Iqaluit Slow Pitch League wants to brighten things up. It plans to get lights installed around the city's softball field on Federal Road. The initiative is meant to help keep players safe during games where there's less light or cloudy weather.
There's a lot of potential for somebody to get hurt. So a lot of the games, because of we start at 8 o'clock, we have to stop them maybe sometime depending on weather and cloud. We're an hour into it, we have to postpone the games because people can't see. Somebody's going to get hurt.
The league wants to install 6 poles that will have 5 LED lights attached to each of them. Goodluck Energy Corporation is donating 45-foot poles for the project, and installation services will be done by Canadrel. Any fees associated with the project will be paid for by the league, and it hopes to get it all started this month. Inuvik is getting ready to welcome big crowds this weekend for the Totally Arctic Wrestling Tournament. It's one of the biggest events in town, and it has a big impact on the community and the performers. The CBC's Rowan Fleary introduces us to some of the wrestlers hitting the ring this weekend.
That was a beautiful, beautiful finish. Wow, I did not expect the pile driver to be...
For me, it's it's a lot of fun. Like, what it means to me is like being able to provide a new form of entertainment for our community, because aside from the one show quite a few years ago that the legends like WWE and WCW had come up, we haven't seen anything like that up here. So us to be able to provide that kind of entertainment and just like that shock and awe of like what we can do in the ring, that's what I get a lot out of the shows that we do.
And oh no, sidewalk slam.
It's funny, probably I'd like to say 15 or maybe more years ago, we came up to Yellowknife and we did all the little communities around Yellowknife, and there are many of them. I think there were 10 that we did. So that was a lot of years ago, and coming up here and just seeing, like, it's just so nice to walk down the street and see people smiling and people saying hello to you. I come from Edmonton. You don't get that. When I walk down the street, people walk down the other side of the street. For instance, today, we just went to the gym to have a workout, and the guy found out we're in town for the wrestling. And he's like, oh, this is amazing. The kids love this. You guys go right ahead, please. And it's just so overwhelming to see such a, like, everybody, the community, like, you know, how it's come together and how friendly everybody is, and like how everybody's getting behind this promotion and the guys that are involved. It's just getting bigger. So I see big things for this place.
Stop this, you guys. Look, this is just getting out of control. I'm going to bring this back to the ring.
Oh, whoa, that was a hole right on the wooden floor. That is no give.
As much as I love wrestling myself, I really do it for the people that are willing to come and be entertained and watch the show and support my art and do everything like that. Especially out here. Like, here has been so wonderful with the way that they have like treated me. Especially, we're both guys that look like you wouldn't even want to run into us in a well-lit alley. So, and seeing people just walk up to us and say hello has been a wonderful thing. So yeah, for me personally, it's amazing. It's always going to be mind-blowing for me.
And the Bulldog off the top rope. Could Shipwreck win this? He's got the cover. And the 3.
It's by Des Loreen in that. It sounds like it's going to be amazing, and I hope everyone has a chance to check it out if they're in Inuvik. Our friends at CBC Indigenous are marking National Indigenous History Month by celebrating First Nations, Inuit, and Métis trailblazers in sports, sciences, health, and beyond. Among those topics, inventions like sunglasses. Deborah Webster is originally from Baker Lake, or Kamaniktuak. She shares what she knows about igak, some of the earliest versions of sunglasses.
This is a pair of goggles that belonged to my step-great-grandfather Paka from Baker Lake. You can see it's made out of wood and sewn here for the sides with caribou skin. So Paka was a special constable. So when you go out hunting on the land, you need to wear such Snow goggles to prevent snow blindness. The sun reflects off the snow or the ice, and these help because the little slits here, it's enough to see out, but it also protects the eyes from the sun. And Inuktitut, they're called Iggaak, Iggaak.
And our thanks to the team at CBC Indigenous for putting that together. A recipient of this year's RBC Indigenous Youth Scholarship hopes to bring change to her community. Ella Isti of Iqaluit is one of 20 recipients of the $10,000 scholarship. In September, she'll begin her studies in sociology and political science at the University of Ottawa. She says she chose that pathway because of its power to create change.
We do have quite a bad housing epidemic where there's overcrowding in housing. That's something that I would really want to fight for as well. That's probably where my mind comes to first, or not even just for the housing crisis, but I would want to be a community leader and to focus first on coming back here and helping in Nunavut any way that I can.
There are 2 other Northerners who will receive this scholarship, Elena Ningyonyang from Rankin Inlet and Ren Lindsay, a member of the Kwanlin Dun First Nation from Whitehorse. A huge congratulations to all of you. Students from an Ottawa elementary school got a chance this week to crawl and walk over a huge 88 square meter map of Canada. It's a collaboration between Parks Canada and Canadian Geographic. As Sandra Abma tells us, it acts as a giant classroom teaching tool that lets kids learn more about national parks.
From coast to coast to coast, grade 6 kids help to unfurl a giant floor map of Canada, designed to take students on a walk through the country's national parks. 88 square meters of geography, waterways, parkland, and historical sites for students to discover underfoot.
We hope that this map is going to inspire kids to learn more about our natural and cultural places and get up close and personal to everything that is Canada.
I want you to go to another side of the map and find me one historic place.
Parks Canada and Canadian Geographic have produced 5 copies of the big map. Teachers across the country will be able to reserve one next September for delivery to their classrooms.
The kit will come with the map itself, a teacher's guide with about 7 different lesson plans that explore different aspects of Canadian geography. It also comes with ropes and pylons that students can use to interact with the map.
A trip to far reaches of the country that doesn't require a plane ticket. Have you ever seen a map like this before?
No. I think it's really cool. I get to see Canada in a lot more detail. Sort of I did before. I didn't really realize that there was this much.
Here we can see the wild spaces where the provinces, territories, every border, and I think it's really nice.
From one ocean to the other?
Yeah. It feels like I'm teleporting.
Sandra Abma, CBC News, Ottawa.
You might assume plant-based foods are healthy, but a new study found that plant-based ultra-processed foods can raise the risk of heart disease. Christine Birak has more.
Because now we can turn plants into burgers and hot dogs.
Yes, they're plant-based foods, but they're also ultra-processed. Question is, are they still just as good for you? A new study says, no, they're not.
This is kind of one of our first signals suggesting that they aren't that good for us.
Brazilian researchers looked at the implications of food ultra-processing on heart health from plant origin foods. Based on over 100,000 people surveyed in the UK, they found increasing your intake of plant-based foods by 10%, including fruits and vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and beans, can lower your risk of having a heart attack or stroke. But eating plant-based ultra-processed foods, things like buns, margarine, bread, and cookies, appear to do the opposite, increasing your risk.
The real question that somebody like me has is why is that? And we don't know that answer yet.
Inside this lab at the University of Toronto, they're trying to figure out how various nutrients affect our body. What we do know is most ultra-processed foods are industrially formulated with additives and preservatives, promoting convenience and shelf life, and their marketing is evolving.
The strategy is often to health wash the products and make them appear healthier than they actually are.
Studies have shown half our daily calories come from ultra-processed foods, especially kids. This dietitian's advice, try to buy whole, unpackaged foods.
Yes, we can have convenience foods, but we need to look at the labels to see which are ultra-processed and which are just processed or cooked from scratch.
She adds, the shorter the ingredient list, the better. And researchers insist, as some try to cut back on meat and dairy products, filling up on plant-based junk foods is not a healthier option. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
And that is Northbeat for tonight. For news anytime, go to cbc.ca/north. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Roberts. Have a great weekend.
Are you ready to be entertained?
Stand-up comedy, best comedians from across the globe.
Oh, great.
An incredible lineup.
Canada.
Are you ready?
Oh.
Are you kidding me?
CBC's got the best in stand-up comedy.
That's pretty unbelievable, man.
It's a scam. It's a scam.
No f***ing way.
Ooh,
It's a bit spicy.
It'll change your life.
Catch it all free on CBC Gem.
well done.
Y'all give it up. Give it up. Give it up.
What happens when we transform the country into one massive obstacle course? 20 total strangers are about to find out.
Okay, game on.
Relationships will be forged and crushed
I want to rip their heads off.
in an all-out battle for glory.
Oh my God! I'm glad that there's cameras around. Yeah, me too. Do it in, replay.
Only one thing's for sure. They are not ready for what's coming.
Let's go, baby!
That same woman from the SEC keeps calling. Can I give her your number?
No.
Michael Lazaridis, want to come and answer some questions?
Why is the SEC looking at us? I'm sure it's nothing. Yeah.
I'm just wondering how you convinced all these engineers from around the world to come all the way to Canada. Do you know what the sentence is for multi-million-dollar stock fraud?
It makes sense that they get a larger share, or does it?
Welcome to the Greenbelt.
All of this, just single detached homes.
Yes.
What do we know? I think we can explain.
About that with Andrew Chang. Watch free on CBC Gem.
I did not know what my future would look like.
The industry wasn't set up for me to thrive in.
I didn't realize how formative 25 to 30 would be.
I was so excited when they said I got to do an interview with you.
Q with Tom Power. Available now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
You promised me that you won't look back.
You don't let them win.
I had a vision that I one day would be free again.
We are not a dying people. We are here and we are speaking.